Hash 25 years later, Star Trek finally shows one of DS9's biggest tragedies. It's taken a quarter of a century, but Star Trek is finally ready to confront one of Deep Space Nine's most haunting legacies. In a franchise known for utopian ideals, moral quandaries, and thrilling space adventures, DS9 stood apart by embracing the gray areas of wartime decisions and cultural identity. And among its many storylines, few carried as much emotional and philosophical weight as the tragedy of the Byron people, especially the children who grew up during and after the Cardassian occupation. Now, 25 years after DS9 ended, Strange New World is finally revisiting that painful history in a way no other series has dared to do. The Cardassian occupation of Bajor remains one of the darkest chapters in Star Trek lore. For over 50 years, the brutal regime subjugated the Byron people, exploiting their labor, desecrating their religion, and turning their homeworld into a place of suffering. While DS9 did a remarkable job portraying the political and emotional fallout, including the rise of the Byron resistance and Major Kira's traumatic past, many stories, especially those involving the next generation, remain untold. What happens to a society's children when they inherit trauma on a planetary scale? Strange New World Season 3 dares to answer that question by introducing a new character. Ensign Ro Avela, a young Starfleet officer of Byron heritage who was born in the final years of the occupation. Through her, the series shines a fresh light on the generational consequences of DS9's backdrop, something Star Trek has largely avoided discussing in detail since DS9 went off the air in 1999. Ro's story is not just a footnote. In fact, her entire arc in Strange New Worlds feels like a tribute to DS9's morally complex storytelling. Haunted by memories of refugee camps and stories passed down by her parents, who were both resistance fighters, Roa represents the emotional aftermath of war. She is a child of trauma, but she seeks peace, not vengeance. Her journey is less about fighting external enemies and more about reconciling her heritage with her hope for a better future. This subtle but powerful portrayal brings renewed attention to one of DS9's biggest tragedies, the lost innocence of the Byron youth. While the original series showed us orphans, broken families, and the physical scars left by the Cardassians, it rarely had the time or scope to follow what became of the children raised in that crucible. Roa's presence reopens that wound, but it also begins to heal it. The emotional highlight of Roa's arc comes in a quiet scene where she visits an old Byron temple, now reconstructed aboard a Federation starbase. There, she lights a candle for the children who never made it out of the camps, those who didn't survive, and those who grew up never knowing peace. It's a moment that feels deeply earned and long overdue. For fans of DS9, it resonates like an echo from the past, reminding us that while the series moved on to bigger wars and new frontiers, some pain was never truly addressed. This narrative choice also reaffirms how Strange New Worlds continues to honor Star Trek's broader canon. Rather than relegating DS9 to a distant, grim chapter, it brings that darkness into the light, refusing to sanitize the past for comfort. It treats the Byron occupation not just as a plot device, but as a living history that continues to shape the galaxy's present. And in doing so, it gives longtime fans the emotional closure they didn't know they needed. Moreover, the choice to tell this story through a new generation reflects a growing maturity in Star Trek's approach. It acknowledges that utopia, if it is to mean anything, must include accountability and healing. Starfleet may stand for peace and unity, but its officers come from worlds that have endured war, injustice, and tragedy. Ro Avela's very presence is a testament to resilience, and her journey is a declaration that the Federation's ideals must apply even to those shaped by darkness. There's also a quiet brilliance in how Strange New Worlds doesn't overplay its hand. It doesn't rehash DS9's plot lines or drag familiar characters into Ro's story. Instead, it lets her experience feel deeply personal and grounded. The series trusts the audience to connect the dots, to feel the historical weight without needing a parade of cameos or exposition-heavy flashbacks. That restraint makes the emotional beats hit even harder. For 25 years, DS9's legacy has lingered like a whisper in the corners of Star Trek. Its impact could be felt in later shows, but rarely seen or addressed head-on. Strange New Worlds changes that by finally